What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Champions League Week 6 predictions. Thank you so much for 48,000 subscribers. Remember, when we get to 50,000, I will be introducing Europa League to the channel. So if you enjoy your football, please do subscribe down below, because last Champions League episode, over 1,000 new viewers of you subscribed. And I know that half of you watching this right now aren't yet subbed to the channel. So click sub down below. I can't wait to have you here. Here is the current record for the Champions League series on the channel. We've, of course, done 90 tips for 90 Champions League games, and we are in profit, which is good. With singles, it can be hard to make profit because you don't get the benefit of stacking the odds in accumulators. So that is good. In case you guys didn't know, I am giving away $100 to a lucky member of my Patreon page. So flashing up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me and the channel over on Patreon. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to do all the videos, all the research, everything that I do. So if you want to shout out in every single video, you want access to exclusive members tips and accumulators, as well as a chance to win the December $100 member giveaway, then click the Patreon link in the description, get yourself signed up. I really do appreciate all of the support. I love chatting with you guys. You can also message me if you have an opinion, if you have an accumulator you want me to look at, just send me a message on Patreon and I will get back to you. So thank you so much for the support. Check out the Patreon using the link in the description. I'm gonna say, I'm coming off a good day yesterday. There were 4 Serie A fixtures and I got 3 perfect scores, and we will be talking about some of those teams today in this video. But we are kicking it off with Kairat Almaty up against Olympiacos. Now, this is a really intriguing tie because Kairat are essentially the minnows of the Champions League, but they have been putting in some performances, scoring some goals. They aren't on 0 points, but there is an opportunity here for a team like Olympiacos, who are maybe underperforming a little bit, to get a much-needed result and a much-needed 3 points. And I do think Olympiacos are going to be able to get the job done here. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Olympiacos. They, of course, they scored 3 against Real Madrid in the last round, losing 4-3 in the end, thanks to Kylian Mbappe's 4-fold of goals. But they're a decent team, Olympiacos, and they should have much too much for Kairat Almaty here. So I'm going for Olympiacos to win at odds of 1.48 as the tip. I think there's really good value there because Kairat, I know they've been intriguing. They got that goal against Inter Milan. They got the draw with Pafos, but they're just not a Champions League level side, in my opinion. And I think Olympiacos, who again won 0 at the weekend, if you watched our Friday live show, they will win this game. And I think Olympiacos to win is decent odds. Now, after this, we have another intriguing game. It's Bayern Munich up against Sporting. Bayern Munich suffered their first defeat of the season against Arsenal in the previous round at 3-1. Arsenal were absolutely awesome in that second half, it does have to be said. But Bayern Munich at the weekend in the Bundesliga absolutely demolished VfB Stuttgart 5-0. Stuttgart being one of the 3 or 4 teams that can really sort of challenge Bayern for the title potentially. I'm thinking Bayer Leverkusen, Dortmund, Leipzig and Stuttgart, and they got absolutely battered. Bayern are just destroying everyone in their path, certainly in the Bundesliga, and I just think this is going to be a step too far for Sporting, who are just not as good as Bayern Munich. So I'm going to say that Bayern Munich will win this one 3-1. And the tip here is Bayern Munich to win and both teams to score at odds of 2.4. Now, after this, again, it's another massive fixture. This is why we love the Champions League. We love the league phase. We love this format. It's Atalanta up against Chelsea. Now, this is a really intriguing one because both teams had a great round at last Champions League. Atalanta winning 3-0 against Eintracht Frankfurt, but arguably more impressive, Chelsea winning 3-0 against Barcelona. But since then, it hasn't really been smooth sailing for either team. Atalanta lost 3-1 to Verona at the weekend, which is an awful result. Whatever way you look at it, whether they've got one eye on this game or not, it's a terrible result. And Chelsea in the Premier League, they lost to Leeds 3-1, fielding a weakened team. And I thought maybe they'll field a stronger team at the weekend and just bounce back. They drew 0-0 with an out-of-form Bournemouth side. So Chelsea haven't picked up a win in a little bit. They, of course, drew with Arsenal before that. So they really do need to bounce back here. And I just think Chelsea are going to do it. This is a little bit of a gut feeling. I really like Atalanta, but you can't lose to Verona like that. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Chelsea. And the tip actually is Chelsea to win. The odds are 2.15. I think that's really, really good. I know Chelsea struggled away from home against Qarabag, but I don't think they'll underestimate Atalanta in the same way that they obviously did against Qarabag. So a bit of a gut feeling. I'm going for Chelsea to win because sometimes in these Champions League videos, I have a tendency to be biased against Premier League teams just because I don't want to appear biased towards them. You know, I think, like I said, I thought Marseille would beat Newcastle 2-1, but then in the video I stuck with 2-2 because I didn't want to appear biased. Like, I wanted to predict a way that maybe appeased both fans, I guess you could say. But I think I'm just going to go for Chelsea here. I know maybe it looks like Premier League bias. Maybe Atalanta go ahead and win, and they are capable of that. But I think Chelsea are just a bit better. So I'm going to say Chelsea to win. Now, after this, we have what promises to be a really exciting one. It's Barcelona up against Eintracht Frankfurt. Barcelona beat Real Betis 5-3 at the weekend, and Eintracht Frankfurt suffered, I think, their heaviest loss of the season. You never know because they keep getting battered. They lost 6-0 to RB Leipzig. And I've gone for, it's almost a bit of a comedic prediction here because really the scoreline doesn't matter all that much. Ultimately, Barcelona, in my opinion, are going to win. But we've seen 3 5-1s for Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League, 2 against, 1 for. So I'm going to go for it again. Barcelona to win 5-1. The tip is Barcelona and both teams to score. The odds are 2.1. I don't think you'll ever get lower than that for a result in both teams to score, because if the win is that likely, then conceding a goal is not going to be much more likely than it is here. So I do think Barcelona win. I'm going to give Frankfurt a goal to make it that 5-1. They did have that sort of freak 0-0 draw with Napoli, but other than that, there's been a lot of goals in their games. 3 5-1s and a 3-0 loss. Frankfurt aren't going to win here. Barcelona look really good. Also capitalizing on Real Madrid's capitulation in La Liga, which we'll touch on later. So for the jokes, I'll go Barcelona to win 5-1. After this, we travel to the San Siro for one of the games of the week. It's Inter Milan up against Liverpool. Now, Mohamed Salah, he dropped that bombshell interview after not being played in Liverpool's 3-3 draw with Leeds, and he will not be playing, I'm pretty sure, in this Champions League fixture at the very least. I don't know if he'll play at least until after AFCON, and who knows the future of Mohamed Salah, but this is going to be really difficult. Inter Milan got a massive win against Como on the weekend, absolutely destroyed them, and I think this is a step too far for Liverpool at this time. So I'm going to say that Inter Milan win. I'm going to say they win 2-1. The tip is going to be Inter Milan double chance and both teams to score because the odds are 2. I think Liverpool will be good enough to score. We saw that. They scored against PSV when they lost 4-1. They scored 3 against Leeds when they drew. They can score goals. They just can't defend. They keep making mistakes, and Inter Milan are absolutely going to punish them, in my opinion. So once again, I'm backing Liverpool to lose in the Champions League, and I'm going to go for that 2-1. After this, it is Monaco up against Galatasaray. Monaco dropped points. They lost to Brest in Ligue 1 at the weekend. Galatasaray, they are a very exciting side. And I think I'm going to go against the odds here. I think Monaco are the favourites at home. I understand why, to a point, but I'm going to say that Galatasaray win this one. I'm going to say 1-0, and the tip is Galatasaray double chance. After this, we travel to the Netherlands for PSV up against Atletico Madrid. PSV got a very, very good victory at the weekend against Heerenveen. They won 2-0, and they were odds of about 1.6 to win that, which was mental. I think it climbed up to about 1.8, but no dramas, winning 2-0. Atletico Madrid lost out to Athletic Bilbao away from home. This is going to be a very interesting game. Either team could win it. I think both teams are going to score. I thought about giving the win to Madrid. I thought about giving the win to PSV, but ultimately when that happens, sometimes you do just have to sit on the fence, and this is one of 4 draws I'm predicting for the Champions League this round, so I'm going to say it'll be a 1-1, but the tip is going to be both teams to score at odds of 1.5. I don't think a 3-1 PSV or a 3-1 Atletico Madrid win would surprise me, and given that that's a 4-goal swing, you just got to go down the middle and go for goals as far as the tip is concerned, but that's going to be a very interesting game. After this, a game that I don't think will be as interesting. It's Tottenham up against Slavia Prague. Slavia Prague not doing very well in the Champions League. They can't really score a goal. Tottenham, they did actually get a win last week in the Premier League against Brentford. It's funny, the last time I predicted Tottenham to win was to beat Copenhagen in the Champions League 2 rounds ago, and they did. And then I finally predicted Tottenham to win again against Brentford on the weekend, and they did. So I've got a pretty good record at predicting Tottenham wins, and when I don't predict them to win, they don't win. So Tottenham fans, you can relax because I'm going to say that Tottenham will win this one as well. I'm going to say they win 2-0, and the tip just is Tottenham to win at 1.44, just because I don't really like win to nil. I also don't particularly like -1 handicap, but giving them 2 goals, we're teetering on the edge of over and under 2.5 goals. So There's a lot of question marks with regards to how big the victory is going to be, so I'm just keeping it as Tottenham to win at 1.44. Now, after this, we have the final game of tomorrow night. It's Union Saint-Gilloise up against Marseille. Marseille doing their best to throw away the Ligue 1 title, with Lens now topping the table, which is absolutely incredible for them. But they did get a very, very good win last game week against Newcastle 2-1. And I think they are going to go strength to strength. They're going to climb out from near the bottom of the table where they started a few weeks ago. They're going to make the playoffs at the very least. I think Marseille win this one against USG. I'm going to say 2-1 to Marseille. And the tip is Marseille draw no bet at odds of 1.61. Now we move on to the Wednesday fixtures. And we're kicking it off with Qarabag up against Ajax. Qarabag are heavy home favourites against Ajax here, but I'm going to do something that I don't think anyone's going to do. I'm going to predict an Ajax win. With the help of a red card, they were able to get a 3-1 win at the weekend in the Eredivisie, and Ajax should be better. They are better than 0 points. No one would have predicted Ajax to finish bottom of the Champions League phase. Nobody. When you've got Kairat in there, I'm sorry to name drop Kairat like that, but when you've got them in there, they are the favourites for the bottom. No one's predicting Ajax, and Qarabag wouldn't be predicted to finish as high as they currently are. And although, like I said, they got a good result against Chelsea, they ended up losing 2-0 to Napoli last time out, which we did predict a 2-0 loss for them. I think maybe this is Ajax's chance. I mean, it's their best chance to get 3 points. So I'm going to back the Dutch team. Maybe this is a mistake. I'm going to say Ajax to win 2-1. And because Ajax are big underdogs in this game, the odds are good for Ajax double chance at odds of 1.83. And all you need for that to come in is for Ajax not to lose. And surely they don't lose again against a team like Qarabag, who, albeit are okay, but Ajax should eye this fixture and think, yes, we can get 3 points there. So I'm going to go for an upset, Ajax to win 2-1. After this, we travel to Spain for Villarreal up against FC Copenhagen. Now, Copenhagen, they were 3-0 up in the previous game week. Who were they playing again? It was Kairat. They were 3-0 up against Kairat, and then they suffered a bit of a scare. Kairat scoring 2 goals and making the comeback. Villarreal, they're an interesting team. They lost 4-0 in the last Champions League game week against Borussia Dortmund, but they did get a good win at the weekend, 2-0 against Getafe, and I think they'll be able to build on that with a high-scoring win here. This is one of the highest-scoring games I've actually predicted this game week, not as high as Barcelona and Eintracht Frankfurt, but I just think I'm going to predict a random scoreline where there'll be lots of goals, because in theory, your best bet is to just go 2-1, 1-1, and 2-0 as your score predictions exclusively and just go for those. But I'm going to go for something crazy here because it does happen. So I'm going to say Villarreal win this one 3-2, but the tip is going to be Villarreal and over 1.5 goals. The odds are 1.61. It boosts up the winning odds. I don't think it'll be 1-0, but you never know what exact scoreline it's going to be. So I'm going to say Villarreal to win 3-2. After this, we stay in Spain. We have Athletic Bilbao up against Paris Saint-Germain. PSG absolutely demolished Rennes in the Ligue 1 last week. They won 5-0. Absolutely incredible. And Bilbao doing what they do best at home, winning in a low-scoring game 2-0, beating Atletico Madrid 1-0. Now, Bilbao are a home side. They really do benefit from playing at home, and that much was obvious. And when they played Madrid, they got the home win. But I think PSG is a step too far. They are just awesome. I don't use the word awesome to describe teams very much. It just really sums up how PSG are. Like Arsenal, as a football team, I wouldn't say they're awesome. I think the word awesome to describe a football team, for me, is only really reserved, currently at this point, for PSG and Bayern Munich. And I think that sums it up, and you'll see why. I just think PSG are awesome, and they're going to win this game, in my opinion. I'm going to go for a quite comfortable 3-0 win, but the odds are really good for the tip. It's PSG to win at odds of 1.6. Now, after this, we travel to Germany for Bayer Leverkusen up against Newcastle. Now, I don't want to hear it from Bayer Leverkusen. They were the big disappointment of the channel. They lost to Augsburg in the Bundesliga, and I thought the odds for them to win at evens were really good, but they threw it away. They lost to Augsburg. They shouldn't have done, but they did. That frustrated me. I'm sure it frustrated you. And they'll be looking to bounce back here against a Newcastle side that suffered a bit of a scare against 10-man Burnley, winning only 2-1. You would have thought they'd go with at least a -1 handicap, but regardless, they got the 3 points. This is going to be a very interesting game. This could be 0-0 or 4-4. I really don't know. Bayer Leverkusen should beat Newcastle at home. Newcastle are the favourites to win this game, but Newcastle haven't travelled that well. I'm going to sit on the fence and say a 1-1 draw, but the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.57 because much like PSV and Atletico Madrid, I wouldn't be surprised if either team won this in a big way. If Bayer Leverkusen show up, they could win 4-0. If Newcastle show up, they could win 4-0. So I'm just going to say it'll be honours even and it'll be a 1-1 draw. Now, after this, we have a very intriguing fixture. It's Benfica up against Napoli. Benfica got a decent point against Sporting, 1-1 at the weekend, and Napoli, one of our correct scores from the Serie A yesterday. And by the way, I'm not BSing you. You can go back and watch my Serie A prediction video on the channel. We got Cremonese to win 2-0, Napoli to beat Juventus 2-1, and Lazio and Bologna to draw 1-1. So, incredible day yesterday. But here, Napoli, away from home against Benfica. I know Benfica have had a really bad Champions League season. They lost all their games. That was until they came up against Ajax last week, or last game week, when I did tip Benfica to win. But Benfica are a good team. So, I think Napoli might slip up here. I think a lot of people will look at this. They'll look at the recent form, where they are in the Champions League, and just the teams in general, and think, yeah, Napoli will win this one. I'm going to go for a little bit of an upset, and I'm going to say that it'll be a 1-1 draw. I don't think Benfica are as bad as 3 points from 5 Champions League games suggest. They've been very unlucky. They're not like Ajax, who've been getting absolutely battered. I think they are a decent team, and I think they can hold off Napoli at home. The tip is going to be my highest odds tip of the video. It's both teams to score and under 3.5 goals at odds of 3. Very similar to the Napoli-Juve game. Obviously, I predicted Napoli to win 2-1 and tipped Napoli double chance and both teams to score at odds of 2.5. You could go Napoli double chance and both teams to score as well. Again, if you like that. I think this is a very good shout of a potential correct score prediction here. Benfica 1, Napoli 1. After this, we travel to Germany for Borussia Dortmund up against Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt, they featured in a 5-goal thriller against Juventus, and Borussia Dortmund a 4-0 mauling of Villarreal. Dortmund again coming off of a brilliant result of the weekend, beating the in-form Hoffenheim without conceding. They won 2-0. I just think Borussia Dortmund at home are wicked, and in the Champions League, certainly in the league phase, the old group stage, Borussia Dortmund are really good. So I think they'll be good enough to win at home here. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. The odds, however, are absolutely awful, so I'm going to go for the goal market, and the odds for Bodo Glimt to score are actually really high. So I'm going to say both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at odds of 1.9. I think Dortmund will probably concede because Bodo Glimt, if they don't score, they lose. So they have to go into this going for a goal. They are capable of scoring, as we saw last game week and in other game weeks, and domestically, they scored dozens of goals. But Dortmund should win this one at home, so I'm going for 3-1. After this, it is Club Brugge up against Arsenal. Now, Club Brugge got battered last game week. They lost 3-0. But Club Brugge at home in the Champions League, they beat Monaco 4-1 and drew with Barcelona 3-3. So they are unbeaten at home. A very, very tricky. I do think it could be quite a cagey affair, and I do think we'll see over 2.5 goals with both teams scoring, as we've seen in both of Club Brugge's home games in the Champions League. Because ultimately, with regards to both teams to score, the thing that you've maybe got to be wary of is, will Arsenal keep a clean sheet? But, like I said, with all their defensive frailties and absentees, I think Club Brugge will think that Arsenal can be got at here. Even though they're top of the Champions League, they look like they're going to win the league phase, I think Club Brugge can get at least a goal. That being said, Arsenal are a level above Club Brugge, and regardless of any absentees, despite the fact that I think they're going to concede, they absolutely should win. So unlike when I predicted them to lose to Aston Villa 2-1, today I am predicting that they beat Club Brugge 2-1, but the tip, because the odds are really good, because of everything I've spoken about, the tip is going to be both teams to score at odds of 1.9. After this, we travel to Turin for Juventus up against Pafos. Pafos, I mean, they'll be kicking themselves with some of the points they haven't got in the league phase stage, namely the game against Kairat. They got a very early red card and obviously had to settle for a point there, but they did, of course, beat Villarreal. I do think that was a bit of a flash in the pan. I don't think Pafos are quite Champions League standard, and I think Juventus will be able to beat them at home here quite comfortably, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. I think Juventus will win 2-0, and the tip is Juventus -1 handicap at odds of 1.5. You could go Juventus and under 3.5 goals. You could go Juventus win 2-0. Ultimately, I think it's going to be quite comfortable. And now, for the final game, one of the biggest matchups of the Champions League game week, the game that we'll also be keeping our eye on over on Big Up, as you would have seen seen in the thumbnail, it's Real Madrid up against Manchester City. Real Madrid are in turmoil a little bit. They lost to Celta Vigo for the first time in 8 years. They lost 2-0 and it was not a good showing for them. Real Madrid have been slipping up time and time again recently, and Barcelona have opened up a bit of a gap at the top of La Liga now. So Real Madrid come into this out of sorts and Man City come into this in very, very good form. But something tells me Real Madrid are going to kind of raise their game here. And, you know, Man City, they're of course playing game after game after game, lots of games. They did beat Sunderland 3-0, which was a great result for them. But they did just scrape by with a late winner against Leeds, and they just held on in that 5-4 win against Fulham. So I'm going to sit on the fence in what I think could be an absolutely incredible game. I'm going to say that Real Madrid and Man City draw 2-2, but the tip, quite low odds for what it is. It's going to be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.66, because both teams will go into this thinking they can win it. Both teams are capable of winning it, but they do it off the back of scoring lots of goals. So I'm going to say that Real Madrid sort of bounce back from their poor performance against Celta Vigo and claim what would be a decent point at home against Manchester City. So that is going to do it for my Champions League Week 6 predictions. And the best part is that this is the new league phase format. So instead of this being the last group stage game, we have 2 more weeks to go. And remember, if the channel reaches 50,000 subscribers, I will be introducing Europa League to the channel. And after this week, there are still 2 more game weeks for the Europa League group phase or league phase in January and beyond. So if we can get to 50,000 subscribers this month, I will be introducing Europa League for the next round of Europa League fixtures. So make sure you drop a like, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.